So, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. How you doing? Wait a few minutes for everybody to hop on. Skip the countdown. Screw the countdown, right? Just want to get right into this because the hot stove happened again tonight. The Yankees hot stove, and there's so much chatter going on, right? So much chatter, and there's so many people feeling some kind of way. And shout out to the chat, by the way. And let some more people get on. Consigliere, what's going on, man? Ken, what do you know? Stephen B, what's good? Man, what is good? Yeah, it is way too inconsistent. There's conflicting information everywhere. Okay, but there's one constant. Okay, with the conversation. Can anybody tell me what it is? What the constant is? Let me see if you see the obvious, because I'm seeing it. Jonathan, what's happening? Cruise control. Hmm. The constant is people are listening to the beat writers and people on social media and not Brian Cashman. Why is that? Right? Why is that? And I took a bunch of notes because I want to make sure I get all the pieces of information I want here. And that's why I put the thumbnail I did. The Yankees hot stove is not the front office. And let me make something clear. I do not work for the Yankees front office, as if you don't already know this. Cashman doesn't feed me intel. But guess what? Neither does Jack Curry. Neither does Michael Kay. Neither does Jeff Passan. All due respect to those guys. They're respected dudes in their field. But none of them work for Brian Cashman in the front office. Cashman's the one in the war room, negotiating the deals, getting the stuff done. These guys do not. Right? There's a constant between Jeff Passan, Jack Curry, Ken Rosenthal, some of the big heavy hitters, right? When do they report news? Anybody? They report news after it becomes official, after it's agreed upon, after it's corroboration. They don't generally report, oh, they're close to this, they're close to that. They report after the fact. And for those that haven't heard, at no point did any of these guys say that the Yankees are out on Tatsuya Amai. Not one of them. Right? Now, Cashman can, I mean, not Brian, but Jack Curry can feel that the Yankees are, more likely to trade for a starting pitcher instead of signing Tatsuya Amai. He did say today that the Yankees are not connected to Amai the way that they have been other Japanese pitchers, and he's not lying. He's not wrong. But why do you think that is? Okay, follow me here, right? They publicly displayed their affection for Roki Sasaki and Yamamoto for years, right? Or at least a year, and they got burned by both of them. So did the Mets, right? They both got burned by guys that they showed public affection for. They travel all over the world to check these guys out, follow them. So yeah, they're doing it differently now when it comes to Tatsuya Mai. They're flying under the radar, which is good. Okay. I think it's important to follow this, okay? And I encourage folks, it's up to you to decide what you want to do, but paying attention and listening to what Cashman says and watching what he does tells us more than any of these guys tell us on the hot stove, right? Does anybody remember when the Yankees announced that they were out on Yamamoto and Roki Sasaki, right? They didn't announce that they were out until they were told they were out by the Dodgers or by Yamamoto or Sasaki or their agent. Them and the Mets were told that they were out. That is when they announced that they were out. Not until that. They didn't say, you know what? With the Yankees, we understand you have a 45-day window. We're only giving you 38 days because we're the Yankees, because that's how we roll. That is not how it works. Okay, when it comes to Okamoto, and all these other guys, we are on their clock. They're not on ours. We have to abide by the 45-day window. These guys have to make a big decision. They have less than 7 weeks to do it. Travel to the other side of the world to play the next 6, 7 years, however many years in their career. Move to America when they're from Japan. So if they want to take every day of that 45 days, that's totally fine. Totally fine. You want a courtship and all that stuff? Totally fine. And I prefer the Yankees flying under the radar because that's what Brian Cashman does on a regular basis anyway. He leaks to nobody. And he tends to do his best work when he's flying under the radar and telling nobody. Right? This is where we have to pay attention to what Cashman says and what Cashman does. Right? Because far too often it becomes this competition, like it was today on social media, on Twitter and Discord, between who knows more people, who has more sources, who talks to more people. I'm more connected than you. You're more connected. It became a dick measuring contest for people who would love to be Dredd, who are not even Fred. Okay? For those that understand that, let me know. Okay? It became a dick measuring contest on social media today. Between a bunch of people, none of whom work for Brian Cashman. None of whom were in the war room with him. Right? Okay? No, you make a deal. You submit your posting, your bid. Okay? And then it's up to the player and his agent to decide who has the best bid or who wants to go with. And you have an opportunity to up your bid and so on and so forth. If they happen to, if let's just say they like team A, but team B has a bigger bid, they'll go back to team A and say, do you want to up your bid? And so on and so forth, because it's such and such team. They won't really give you that much info. But if you want to up your bid, they'll give you, the bids are blind. They're not going to tell you exactly what the other team is offering. They don't even do that in the major leagues. Okay? But that's how it works. And then once you decide on the contract, then that posting fee is based off of the contract. Okay? That's generally how it works with Japanese players, so even Korean players too. So I'm not mad, AJ. No. I think it's important to educate people who clearly prefer talking points and narratives over facts. Okay? And again, I'm going to make something clear too. So many people keep saying on social media that they're waiting on Cody Bellinger. They are not waiting on Cody Bellinger to sign Tatsuya Imai. They are waiting on Tatsuya Imai to sign Tatsuya Imai. They're waiting for him to decide. Bellinger has nothing to do with the pitching acquisition. They're not going to make a move in the starting pitching world until they get a decision from Tatsuya Imai. And if they sign Imai, then they don't have to trade for a starting pitcher. They don't have to sign a pitcher that's attached to a qualifying offer. Then they can use the assets that they would normally trade for a starting pitcher and maybe trade for some bullpen help. Now they have their starter, and then they can acquire a couple of relievers. Now it's a different allocation of the assets. Okay? That's this is and this is again. No, they're not waiting on Bellinger CWA. Okay? Bellinger has nothing to do with MI. Nothing. They're on MI's window, 45. They're on his clock, not Bellinger. And nobody is binding on this ridiculous ask from Scott Boras, 7, 8 years for a bunch of money. Nobody is. Right? They're not going to wait. They're not going to bypass MI's window just to let Bellinger's price come down. That's not how it's going to work. Okay? However long it takes MI to decide is how long it takes to MI. And if you can get MI and Okamoto, fine, great. Get your right-handed bat. Okay? What bullpen arms are they going to sign, JP? Look at the prices of the bullpen arms right now. But like I said, the bullpen's going to most likely come down to trades. What reports, CW? What reports saying the Yankees weren't going to spend? And who are they going to spend on right now? You're going to pay Cody Bellinger $40 million a year? Nobody is. Okay? Nobody. What reports are you listening to, CWA? Right? I'm going to say this again. When it comes to Imai, he is not waiting on Cody Bellinger to sign Imai. He's waiting on Imai to sign Imai. That's how it works. We are in Japanese 45-day window. We have to wait for him to decide in order to sign him if he decides to come to the Yankees. It has nothing to do with Cody Bellinger. Nothing. Right? Cashman talks about how does he do that, Joseph? Please elaborate. Both sides of his mouth. Because he's pretty straightforward, Brian Cashman. I doubt Soto opts out and comes back to the Yankees. The Yankees aren't going to give him $50 million a year again. No. I doubt it. He had his chance. Let him be the king of queens. Yes, if we sign him, I do think we trade a starting pitcher, an outfielder, and probably a catcher for some bullpen help. Bullpen help. I think they're going to bring in two big players. I don't know if it's two big. We don't know yet what the contracts are going to be. It depends on what other moves they make. But they're waiting on Imai to make any other pitching moves. That's obvious. Obvious. Right? Yes, exactly. We haven't heard anything about Okamoto. We haven't heard anything about Murakami. Right? Most likely Murakami is going to go to the West Coast if I'm thinking, if I'm correct. Okay? That's what we're hearing too, Stephen B. No one's going to give Boris or Bellinger a 7-year deal. Okay? But again, he's not going to prevent them from signing Tatsuya Imai. Tatsuya Imai is a bigger priority for them than Cody Bellinger is. He is easier to replace than somebody like Tatsuya Imai. You can get somebody else to do what Bellinger's doing. Okay? That's the way it is. Fairbanks is a good reliever. Jojo Romero, and he's trade bait, so yeah. Who are they going to make trades for, JKP? I'm not saying they're not doing anything. They're not going to make a stupid trade just for the sake of making a stupid trade. If the prices are through the roof, they're going to wait for the price to come down just like every other team is. They've already made moves. They made the obvious moves, the necessary moves so far. Anything beyond this is they haven't lost any of their targets at all. None of their main targets are off the board. None of them. Right? We'd say, wow, we signed Max Fried last year. That was the big signing trade. And then they made a bunch of trades, William. Max Fried was a big one for the Yankees. They tried to sign Juan Soto, but he went and got his bag from the Mets. We'll see. I don't know. I don't really care about left field right now. That's an easier spot to fill. Imai provides a bigger value because he can other dominoes can fall within Imai signing. Right? What journalists all said before what journalists, CWA? You keep saying reports. What reports? What journalists? And do any of them work for the front office? No. Okay. No, it doesn't mean Hal doesn't want to spend. Hal didn't say. He said it would be ideal to get under the threshold, but didn't say that he would. Okay, this is why listening is important. Listening to what Hal says and Brian Cashman says instead of what beat writers say that they said. Because they twist the words. They put words in these guys' mouths all the time. Right? And a bunch of people saying on social media today they're out on Imai. They're not out on Imai. They're not. That's baloney. Do you know how we would know that they were out on Imai? They would have already traded for somebody or signed the starting pitcher. That's how Cashman generally does his work. His action will tell you that they're out or not. They're not going to say they're out. They're just going to make a move to show you that they're out. That's how he's been ever since he's been GM. He's not going to tell you what you want to hear, right? He pisses off a lot of people just like I do. And guess what? I don't care. Okay? He's clued into the front office. If he was, and why is he not saying anything that Cashman says? Just out of curiosity. Because he's not clued into the front office when it comes to Amai. Not saying he's not clued in. He's one of the most respected people, but he doesn't work for Cashman. He's not in the war room with Brian Cashman. Okay? People have to acknowledge that. All due respect to Jack Hurry. He does not work for the front office. And Brian Cashman is not going to feed people information to share on the hot stove. Why? Especially who represents Amai? Scott Boras. Why would he leak any information that would cause him to lose leverage to Scott Boras, who's the Carcharodon Carcharodus of sports agents? What does that mean? The great white shark of baseball sports agents. He's the last person in the world you want to lose leverage to. And Brian Cashman knows this better than most. Okay? Clued into the front office doesn't mean you know more than Brian Cashman. Nobody's clued in more than Cashman is. Nobody. Okay? If the Yankees sign him, once we get a decision on Amai, if they sign him, more dominoes will fall. If they don't sign him, more dominoes will fall. One way or the other, more dominoes are going to fall once Amai happens or doesn't happen, right? That's just the way that it's going to be. That's obvious if you follow what's going on. If you listen to Brian Cashman, right? He tells you a lot more than you think he does. They offered Soto $750 million. Well, yeah, 750 or 760. Yeah. They're not going to sign Bellinger and Tucker. It doesn't make any sense. Ben Rice is at first base. They don't need a first baseman. That doesn't mean they need to make 3 overpays just because they're willing to give Soto that money. None of these guys are as good as Soto. Bellinger, Tucker, Bichette, none of them are as good as Soto. And Soto's not as good as Judge. Yet they offered him $400 million more than they gave Judge. It's kind of crazy. But that was the one guy who had the opportunity to make that bag. That doesn't mean they have to spend it stupidly after this point either. I understand what you're saying, Raul, but that's Bellinger goes to the Mets, he goes to the Mets. So what? The shortstop wanted the oxygen. Yeah, well, look, this could be a blessing in disguise too. Keep in mind, the Yankees, they've recently got rid of their international free agent scouting director or head of scouting and so on and so forth. They have to revamp that whole department and the player development department. Why? They have not hit on an international prospect in over 10 years. Not one. And only 2 of them have made the majors. Okay? They have not hit on one international player. When I say hit, I mean like a star player. Okay? In 2 years, Stanton comes off the books. They could be waiting in the weeds for all we know. Hayden, they could be waiting. I don't know. If Hayden's, if Tucker's price becomes more favorable, because it sounds like his market's smaller than Bellinger's is, because Bellinger's better defensively, and he can play first base as well. So he could provide value for teams that need a first baseman, whereas Tucker does not do that. So he does have versatility that Tucker does not have. But Tucker's more a prototypical contact bat to put in front of Aaron Judge. So, keep in mind too, this is not about who's right, who's smarter, or who's more connected, who's more dialed in. We just have to wait and see what happens with Amai. Like I said, could the Yankees? They can use Kazuma Okamoto. I don't know if all I know is that they're negotiating with 3 Scott Boras tax clients. Why do I know that? Scott Boras told us himself. Okay. For those that know me, if it's your first time here, welcome. But I don't go around saying my sources. I have sources. I tell you exactly who gives you the information. I wait until something's corroborated, and then I share the information. I share with you who reported it all the time. So I'm not one of these people who needs the constant ego stroke like some of these other folks do. Okay. I want you to have the right information. Right. So, Tucker's like 18 months younger than Cody Bellinger, so you could age better. I don't know. Right. Bellinger could get, I don't know if he's going to get more money than Tucker, but he can get, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, some of the numbers we're hearing are crazy, but we'll see. Not necessarily stalemate. Who can they sign right now that is priced in reality? Who can they sign? I'm going to wait for somebody to give me an answer. A good one. All right. Infielder Zach Short. Just signed them. Previously played with the Astros, Angels. Well, there you go, Yanks for life. Nice little news. Cool. Zach Short. Who in the hell is Zach Short? Let's look him up. He's 30 years old. Oh, he went to Sacred Heart University in Connecticut. Did he just sign with the Yankees? It's like he's a 30-year-old right-handed hitting infielder. Doesn't have much playing time in the majors, only 50 at-bats. Well, actually, no, excuse me. 50 at-bats in 2025, 500 career at-bats. Not many, but it's 500 career at-bats over several years, so not much of a sample size in any season. If he's tall, Zach Short, he's 5'10", 180 pounds. The Elise is going to be a beast. Yes, it always is a beast. CWE, thank you, my man. I appreciate the kind of generosity, man. I really do. Just hang in there, brother. I'm glad I cheered you up. Like if I have to talk people off the ledge, I'm fine with that. I don't like to feed people bull crap. Like a couple of weeks ago, people were dying to be the first person to report on the Paul Skeens to the Yankees thing. It was total bull crap, right? Almost every channel, oh my God, I'm going to be the first person to report on the lie about Paul Skeens that wants to play for the Yankees. Paul Skeens came out himself and said it wasn't true, but people were dying to report on it. They didn't even wait until it was verified. They didn't even wait until it was corroborated. No, they had to be the first, right? How about making sure you're accurate before you're first? Just a thought. The Tiger suggests Cam Schlittler would be. No, there's no way. No. They're not even going to. No. There's no way you give Schlittler for Scuba. Yeah, they released Alan Winans. I put that stuff out yesterday. He had to play. He's going to pursue an opportunity in Japan. Somebody put out some craziness earlier. Then I asked her who her source was, saying that Bo Bichette. Yeah, let me read this out to you. Where the hell is it? This lady said that Bo Bichette was willing to change positions to be catcher to come to the Yankees. That's what I heard. That's who was told on Twitter. Thanks, thank you so much for I appreciate your generosity, guys. I really do. Super chats. Rosario for $2 million. That was a really good deal. I'm glad he's back. I expect him to bring another right-handed bat. No, there are no credible sources that says Amaya is going to sign with the Cubs soon. Credible sources do not report that he's going to sign with a team soon. Okay, that's not the way it happens. You're going to find out from the team first that signs him or his agent, right? Or him, right? These Japanese players. That's the way that it works. That's the way it worked with Yamamoto, right? The Yankees didn't announce they were out until they were told they were out. Just like the Mets. The Mets and Yankees were told at the same time that they were out on Roki Sasaki and Yamamoto. Then they pivoted, right? Not until then. They were both in on these guys. Yankees traveled the entire year to Japan for every one of Yamamoto's starts. There was footage of Brian Cashman in Japan like a dozen times. And he wound up using the Yankees and the Mets to drive up the price to go to the Dodgers. Right? So Jack Curry's not wrong when he says the Yankees don't seem to be as connected to a mind the way they are other players. But it could be for a reason. Right? Like I said, they're gonna fly under the radar when it comes to a mic, so don't get burned again, like they did with these other guys. But at no point did Jack Curry say they were out on Imai, because he would not know that. Brian Cashman would first. He would not know that before Brian Cashman. And how would we know? Cashman would pivot, right? Oh, look at this. Look at this breaking news from Jonathan. Thank you, my Prime Minister of Valuable Intel. Michael King has agreed to a 3-year deal with the Padres. From Mark Feinzan, too. All right. Let's see if we get any corroboration on this, too. He's going back to the Padres, huh? Well, guess what? He's not going to the Mets. He's not going to the Red Sox. He's going back to the Padres. Cool. All right, that's cool. They still need another starting pitcher. You still need another starting pitcher. But it also, means the Yankees, they're all in on Imai. If the Yankees wanted King, they would have offered him a contract already. Or signed him already. Offered him a contract that he couldn't say no to. Right? There was all this speculation that he was going to sign a 4-year deal a couple days ago. Sign a 3-year deal with the Padres. 3 years, $75 million. All right, $25 million bucks a year. That's big money for Mike King, right? Big money for him. But again, I didn't think he was going to go to another team because he has a qualifying offer. It's not updated on MLB Trade Rumors yet. MLB Trade Rumors isn't the first one. They usually take a few minutes to reprogram here. But Jeff Passan just put it out too on ESPN. And this is right from Jeff Passan. Right-hander Michael King and the San Diego Padres are in agreement on a 3-year, $75 million contract. Sources tell ESPN. The deal allows King to opt out after the 2027 and 2028 seasons. Mark Feinstein was first on the news. So he gets 2 opt-outs in the deal. $12 million signing bonus and salaries of $5 million, $20 million player. Look at that. Good. Well, look at that. The pieces are falling into place. Little by little. Right? And this is why I just implore people. People can choose to ignore me all they want. But I encourage people, listen to Brian Cashman. Listen to what he says. Watch what he does. If he wanted King, he would have signed King. Period. And at that point, he would have picked him over Imai. Right? Nothing further on Donovan yet. The Yankees. It sounds like the Yankees are looking for a right-handed bat first, which is why I'm keeping my eye on Kazuma Okamoto. But some other guys too, like Austin Hayes and so on and so forth. If they get King, if they get Imai, then they will probably trade either Warren or Hill if they get Imai. I mean, it could be Bo. I mean, I don't know if Bo would take 5 years to play left field, at least for a year, and then move to second base if Jad Chisholm leaves. after the season. And then at that point, they can play someone else in left field. Dylan Lewis might be ready. He's in Double-A right now. He's one of their highest ranked outfield prospects, a young right-handed bat. Really, he's got the best exit velocity in the minor leagues. Of every right-handed bat in the minors, Dylan Lewis from the Yankees has the best exit velocity, and he's an elite bat with speed who plays plus defense. Keep that name in your back pocket, Dylan Lewis. All right, and if you get Bichette, it means you take him away. If you do get Bichette, that means it increases the chance of the Blue Jays getting Tucker. Just keep that in mind. And I agree, the qualifying offer kept him with the Padres. I think it kept teams away from offering him money because of the fact they would have to give up 2 draft picks, and international money, which make all the sense in the world. If you get Bo Okamoto, and I'd be floored, CWE, but I'd be good floored if they did that. And my guess is Bo's going to cost less than Bellinger. You could probably get Bo on a 5-year deal. But I don't know. I think at some point you have to pivot to second base because that's where he's going to be stronger defensively based on his lack of range. Left field is a tough part of Yankees outfield to navigate. I don't know if the Mets will get Tucker. I don't really care if the Mets get. I think they're more likely to get Bellinger than Tucker. Yankees signed Travis McGregor. Yankees going on a lot of minor league deals. All right, is that the second one already? McGregor. Oops. Travis McGregor. 28-year-old. Right. Is he a right-handed pitcher? Yeah, 28-year-old right-handed pitcher. Double-A. Yeah, well, he's already dialed in here, it looks like. Somerset Patriots for the Yankees. When did they sign him? I don't know when he signed him. Is he a new signing? Yankees transaction. Okay, cool. $494. Yeah, that's the Yankees' huge move, AJ, no doubt. Look, I don't know if they're going to do Tucker, like if they did Tucker and Imai. I don't know. But I do. All signs are pointing towards, and this is just if you follow the team and you follow how Cashman operates, right? I don't really care what people say on social media who don't listen to Brian. I'd rather listen to Brian Cashman than the people on social media, right? I don't know if that, I know that people are saying that Bellinger's waiting for, but Bellinger's market's bigger than Tucker. So I don't know if that makes sense to wait to Tucker to sign. Right? Talking Point Central is right, man. Yeah, we're locked and loaded with Travis McGregor now, man. We don't need no Imai. Hey, Ben. Yeah, Michael King, 3 years, Aiden. 3 years, $75 million. I don't think Tucker gets $400 million either. But that's the ask, right, from Casey Close, his agent. So be it. I mean, just because you asked doesn't mean you're going to get it. Chase Chaney, right-handed pitcher. What's all these ancillary Yankees moves? They could be stocking up for the Moose. This is where when the Yankees are this quiet, it's usually for a couple of reasons. Number one, the market is crazy. The prices are ridiculously high. And you could see nobody's really making big moves. Or the Yankees are, getting ready for something bigger. But obviously, when it comes to Imai, we're on his clock. We're on his timeline. He's not on ours. So we have to abide by the 45 days no matter what. We have no control over that. And he's represented by Scott Boras. So is Okamoto. So he's got a double whammy and he knows the Yankees are in on both. gotta buckle up. It's going to be a busy month and a half before spring training starts. Get that Bubba Crosby up in here, Stephen B. Get him up in this place, man. Get Crosby. Bringing back Mickey, man. There you go, AJ. They cryogenically froze him. So he's bringing him back. Froze him like Austin Powers, man. Yeah, they made a bunch of minor league signings, thanks to life. Yeah, I generally report on all this stuff too. So if you see like I put up more shorts or at any point in time, you'll see a lot of that pertains to these types of signings. Some of these names I haven't heard of, so thank you for putting them out. Yeah, I mean, I think Imai is going to be the next domino to fall. And for those that haven't heard, if you didn't hear me say it before, I want to say it again. The Yankees are not waiting on Bellinger to sign Imai. They're not. They're waiting on Imai to sign Imai. Right? Hi, Tiffany. How are you? Well, you already brought back Rosario, John, this week, so got his right-handed bat. The next big move will probably be Imai if it happens. Mickey Mantle, yeah, he would. Yeah. He would get paid. I don't know what kind of news. Good news. I think the next significant news, I should say, I'm hoping that it's good, is Tatsuya Imai. We are waiting on his decision. And like Mike King just re-signed with the Padres, so that's one chip away that was in the Yankees' potential blockade. Kenta Maeda went back to Japan. Yes, he did. He could be looking at Bo, but he's not going to leak that he is. Like, we would never know. And this is the thing with Cashman. Like, he doesn't tell us anything. He just strikes. Like, Max Fried came out of nowhere. Devin Williams came out of nowhere. Goldschmidt came out of nowhere. Bellinger came out of nowhere. Like, all this stuff came out of nowhere. No. We'll see what happens with Murakami. I mean, if I had to guess, it's going to be the Angels or the Diamondbacks or maybe the Texas Rangers. I don't think it would be the Mariners because they got Josh Naylor there. But thank you. Same to you, Kenneth, man. Same to you. I appreciate you. But this is what we know right now. So I encourage folks to please, don't just go to social media and listen to what all the people are saying about what was said on Hot Stove today. Okay? Yeah, I saw that Bleacher Report article. I mean, I don't know what team makes sense for Jazz Chisholm, honestly. But I don't know. And what type of value could you get back? Like, if I'm trading Jazz, I want a reliever with controllable years, and I want an infielder, at least for depth or something, or an outfielder at least for depth, something like that. Because you're not going to just give up 30-30 and not make an effort to replace that production. They would replace that production somehow. Not necessarily bring in another 30-30 guy. There's not many of those in baseball, but they would bring in somebody who would have a solid bat regardless. Right? But I did see that Bleacher Report article on the trades. I mean, that one with the Mets was it Brady Singer and Matt McLain. Okay. But I don't think the Yankees are going to make any move for starting pitching until Imai. Nothing. No Freddie Peralta trade, no Mackenzie Gore trade. And keep in mind too, would you rather trade all that Spencer Jones or Jason Dominguez for 1 year Freddie Peralta or 3 to 4 years of Mason Miller or something like that? If you could do that, right? That's what I keep saying, Stephen B. Bullpen and infield depth. It's just obvious. Those are their needs. But they're giving up. They're not going to get a haul for 1 year, Jazz. They'll get a good return, but right. Of course, people are going to say we suck. You have the armchair GMs, right? You have all these other channels saying the Yankees are going to be a fourth place team. There's still 2 months left in the offseason. People are already ranking teams. Incomplete off seasons. Why? What is the point of that? Absolutely 0 sense to do that. Well, does not want to go to a team that has Japanese players, and the Cubs have 2 of them. So, yeah, I don't know if the Yankees. I mean, who has a QO? I don't think Bichette has one, right? Tucker has one. Yeah, I don't understand why so many people are like, well, the Yankees are nothing but a fourth place team right now. They say that every year about the Yankees. When Soto signed with the Mets, the Yankees are going to be a fourth place team. The Mets are going to win it all. None of it happened. They don't even wait until the offseason's over. They just go right to the narratives. Goes to San Francisco. Why does your gut tell you that? If I had to guess, Jeremiah, if they get in mind and they're going to trade Escara, either Warren or Hill, and Dominguez for relief pitching. Austin Hayes could be good for the outfield. I don't know if they would sign Refsnyder and Hayes. I could see signing one of them. At the end of the day, I don't think Bichette's going to come here, but crazy things have happened, but I'm not even worrying about Bichette right now. I'm worrying about Amai. Yeah, Cashman does pounce, and he pounces. He doesn't tell us he's going to pounce. He just pounces, and we find that after the fact. And like I said, Jack Carey does not report moves until they already happened. Neither does Rosenthal. Neither does Jeff Passan. Jeff Passan did not come out and say, oh, they're about to get Michael King. No, he reported once the trade was agreed upon, once the Padres signed King, not traded for him. That's when he reported it. He didn't say he's close. No. These big guys do not report it until it's done, until it's official. Okay? So something to keep in mind. Following people on the Yankees are close to, I'm hearing that these guys do not do that. They don't. Giants have money to spend. Yeah, the Padres got Michael King. I think the Dodgers. The Giants would probably be better, and they also have Jung Hoo Lee, but he's a Korean player, so I'm not sure that he doesn't want to go to a team that has an existing either Asian or Japanese player. Imai's made that clear. So, and he made it clear this week that he has no interest in joining Yamamoto and Roki Sasaki and the Dodgers. He would rather join a team that puts him in a position to beat them, take them down. He mentioned those 2 guys specifically. Yeah, Lane Thomas to the Royals. Yep. Framber Valdez, Tucker, Zach Gallen. So does Ranger Suarez. So do Ranger Suarez. A couple other folks. Yeah. Yeah, but my problem is, Michael King would have been like a number 4 on the Yankees. And is it worth it to give that much for a number 4? I don't know. Yankees have any what, Tiffany? What are you asking if the Yankees have any? So, anybody have any questions about the hot stove tonight? Belly does not have a qualifying offer. He already got one. So he's not qualifying offer. The Yankees have no Japanese players at all. Nope. The last one they had was Masahiro Tanaka. But they have a chance to bring in 2 of them. And why don't you think that, William? Who do you think they're going to do? Hot Stove has not been hot for a long time. They haven't got much stuff right. And whenever they're giving you different messaging than Cashman puts forth, that should tell you that they're not dialed into what Cashman's doing. That should be a first obvious tell. They're not dialed in as much as you think they are. If their messaging is different than Cashman's. Right? It's kind of crazy, but it's true. The Red Sox, I'd be surprised. Yeah, Rangers got Chris Martin. Was that yesterday, right? Yeah. That's what they do. They're in for the narratives business. That's why I don't listen to them. I don't listen to the John Boy. I don't listen to any of these people. I wait for it to be corroborated by multiple people before I put out stuff to share with you guys. I want to make sure that I'm sharing good information with you guys. I don't just sit around and make stuff up. My sources are telling me. Like, we have all these other channels saying I act like they're the most connected people in the world. Here's a hint. Connected people don't talk about how connected they are. They don't. Ever. Clark Schmidt? Good question, Tiffany. If I had to guess, probably August. If I had to guess, Tiffany. I could be wrong on that, but probably August. He got dynamic bracing, which is a shorter timetable for recovery from Tommy John. Then it's like the 9 to 12 months as opposed to 12 to 18. So Garrett Cole got the same thing. So yeah, everybody smack the like button. We got like over 100 people in here. We got 67 likes. Let's try to get those thumbs up. Really appreciate it, folks. I would love that if they got in Maya Okamoto. That would be a big offseason for the Yankees. Yeah, my main man NFE. What's good? Yeah, brother, man, what's going on? Schmidt was September. It could be September. I don't know. I'm not banking on Schmidt. I don't think he's going to be in a rotation at all this year anyway. Oh, the Padres also signed Tristan McKenzie. Okay. Good. So they added another pitcher. They signed Mike King back for 3 years, $25 million per. You haven't heard NFE, right? What I'm hearing is that the Yankees are waiting on Tatsuya Imai. And again, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and peddle sources. I'm listening to the number one source, Brian Cashman. Okay? He is the number one source. He said that they're in on Tatsuya Imai, right? We got corroboration from Scott Boras himself. Okay? No beat writer has said that they're out on him. Not one. Not Jack Curry, not Michael Kay. They're saying, oh, I think he might trade for instead. At no point did they say they were out on MI. Right? And Cashman is not going to make any moves on starting pitching until he figures out whether MI's coming here or not. That I'm very confident in. Tiffany, I appreciate that. Now, I'm not claiming I'm always right all the time either. At the same time, I look to get corroboration from multiple places before I put out anything. Right? We don't know how many teams are in an MI. Don't know. And this is the other thing, too. Teams are not going to leak how many are in on a Japanese player. I'm not gonna do that. Yeah, the Phillies got Brad Keller, 11 million per, and the Mets got Luke Weaver, 11 million per. Prices are crazy high for relief pitching right now. That this people are getting paid in the bullpen. Hmm. Well, exactly, John. Joel Sherman's an honest guy. Jack Curry's an honest guy, but they're not always right, right? And Brian Cashman does not feed either one of them intel to share with people. Nobody knows more about what's going on with the Yankees than Brian Cashman does. Not one beat writer in the world knows more than Brian Cashman, right? So we'll just see. We didn't need him anyway. Who's that, Mr. Brian York? I haven't collabed with him in a while. Yankee fan. I haven't collabed with Joey from the Shift in a while. Yeah, they brought back Tyler Austin, the Cubs. Jace, yes, they did. They brought back Tyler Austin, former Yankee. He spent the last 6 years in Japan, right, playing for in the NPB. Yep. Yeah, and that, I mean, Brad Keller, that definitely beefs up the bullpen. John Duran, Alfred, yeah. I mean, Strom. Although I heard today that the Phillies are looking to trade Matt Strom now, so he could be an option for the Yankees too. I think he only has 1 year left on his deal, which is, I think, I could see Jojo Romero or Matt Strom coming to the Yankees. That would be a nice trade. And Strom is good. He's legit. That's what I heard today. That we'll have to see. We'll believe it when we see it. But yes, indeed. I appreciate that, Yankee fan. Appreciate you too, Tiffany. Appreciate you. I really do. Thank you. And I can't speak for everybody else. I like to try to be as accurate as possible, making sure you're getting good information. I do not like to do talking points, narratives, all this baloney. 72 likes. I appreciate it. I'm missing something here, Brian York. So, what am I missing here? What are you telling us, Brian York? Sorry, I'm missing this scroll time scan. We didn't need a minute. Who are you referring to when you say that, York? I want to make sure. Your Navy Fed's been down for 2 hours. What do you mean, Eda Griffin? What do you mean by that? Nah, I don't think Dave Robinson will come back here. Navy Fed, what does that mean, Eda Griffin? October, okay, exactly. Johnny, well, we'll see what happens with the Padres now. I mean, the Padres are in a very messy situation with their finances. So you'll see a lot of names like that, Sean Armstrong, a lot of like non-sexy names, coming off the board and signing with teams. You really will, right? But that again, like to me, it was really, really important that I got an opportunity to speak with all of you tonight. I'm glad you all came on. Thank you. Because there's so much misinformation going out there tonight after this hot stove. So much stuff. He has opt-outs. Yeah. He has opt-outs for 27 and 28. Yep. Yeah. Weaver got paid, man, Devin Williams got paid. Good for them. Now they're over there with Clay Holmes. 3 former Yankees relievers. Right? I think if the Yankees, I think the Yankees are probably going to do the trade route for bullpen. We'll see. Which is why it's so important to sign in my because then you have assets, good ones that you could trade for good relievers, and not have to use them for mediocre starting pitchers. It's a huge difference. Yeah, the Braves did make a 5-year year offer to Edwin Diaz. Yep. Yes, they did. You know, he's got flair too. He's a good looking pitcher. I really hope he comes here. Yeah, David Robertson was the one player who voted against sharing that extra playoff share with the staff members and the coaches and everybody else. He was the one player that didn't want to give generally because each when a team goes to the postseason, depending how far they get to World Series, you get a postseason share. It's like I don't know, a couple $100,000, and the players generally take that and they split it between the bat boys and the staff and the people who take care of them all year. And David Robertson was the only player who decided no on doing it. So that's why I think he won't be back. He rubbed a lot of people the wrong way by doing that. He's a good pitcher, but that was messed up. 7 years, I could see 175 with 7. I could see that too. No. Bichette and Amai, I mean, yeah, Cashman acknowledged. They have an offer. I don't know what the offer is. Tucker, he's got several offers out, but it seems that the players and the agents weren't very happy with the offer. So, and I'm not surprised. Like I said, the agents come through, and he's represented by Casey Close. They come through in the moon, right? Cashman comes in through the clouds. They have to negotiate somewhere in between to come to terms. I think he's 27 in my. So, and right, Murakami's window is Monday. His window closes Monday. So we'll know, like in 4 days, we'll know whether who's Murakami's going to sign with. I don't think Dave Robinson's going to be back again. And he came back. He was traded here, David Robinson. He was traded here with Todd Frazier and Tommy Kahnle. So he didn't come back as a free agent. He was traded here. That's how he came here the second time. Yeah, I mean, hopefully we get Murakami news soon. That would be kind of fun to report. Monday, Murakami's window closes at 5 p.m. Eastern. Yep. But I mean, generally, this is what we heard today. And this is what it's important to remember, right? As tempting as it is to listen to the hot stove and listen to people on Discord and X or Twitter, it's really important to just pay attention to what's actually going on. It really, really is. And if it's not consistent, then you know there's a disconnect. Cashman works under the radar, right? He's like a sniper, stealth. When he pounces, he pounces. And he doesn't tell you, he just pounces. That's how he works. I didn't think he was going to make 7 or 8 deals at the freaking trade deadline, but he did. I was in here with Jonathan. He made like 5 trades in the last hour. We were like, what the hell? But he did. And Nico Horner's another guy. Nico Horner, he bats like 370, something like that versus lefties. So does Miguel Andujar. So these two guys, I keep them on the radar too. What pisses fans off? Yeah, because fans want to be kept in the loop. But why would any GM keep the fans in the loop? Right? We're not going to get Murakami. He doesn't have a place to play here, Murakami. Where would you play him? He doesn't have a position to play. Like if they didn't have McMahon, maybe third base, but they have McMahon. And McMahon is elite with the glove. Murakami is barely Barely competent with the glove. Not that I know of, but I don't know, John. He could be on the list, and we don't even know. Like we could find out on Sunday. What, like they signed Murakami, they're trading. What the? They can make some crazy thing happen. They do that too. So I'm not. I can't. I can't rule anything. He plays first base, but they're not going to move Ben Rice for him. He plays first and third. He'll be 28 this coming season. Yep. If I had to guess, he's probably going to get a 6-year deal, Murakami. But again, Masahiro Tanaka got a 7-year deal. He got 7 years, I think 155, Tanaka. And then his posting fee on top of that. And the posting fee is based on how big your contract is. It's a percentage of what your contract is. Yep, King back to the Padres. 3 years, 75 mil. I could see him going to the Angels. I can see him going. There's a couple teams I could see him going to. Nico Horner could be a fit for the Yankees as a right-handed bat. Plays multiple infield positions. Yep. He kills lefties. Yep. If you get Okamoto, my guess is he'll play left field and third base. I think he'll play. I mean, this is how I would play him. He would play third base on days where there's a lefty pitcher on the mound, and he would sit McMahon those days. He'll be up by about 20% of the games. And then he played left field a bunch of games, and you could DH him a couple of games. Or he could back up Rice at first base, give Rice a couple of days off. If you want to DH Rice, you could put him at first base. So he's got positional versatility. That's another part of his value, right? So take on Bogart's contract. I don't know about that. Want Mason Miller, you got to take on a 250. Why would any team do that? Oh, he would get a ton of at bats. He'd play easily 100 games, 120 games. Okamoto. They could easily make that work for him. So if they don't sign Bellinger, right? And let's just say they sign Okamoto and get Rob Refsnyder or Austin Hazy or something like that, then he's on the Yankees target list, yeah. They could easily make that work. Okamoto's got versatility, just like Cody Bellinger does. But he's not going to cost as much as Bellinger. Plus, he hits righty. The Angels make a lot of sense for Murakami because, they bring in a Japanese player to replace Shohei Ohtani, somebody who can complement Mike Trout well, right? In a more environment that's a little bit less pressure for him. Mike Trout's the franchise there, not Murakami. So he can learn, take his lumps and get better, and his power would be an appealing piece over there. People would be mesmerized by this guy's power. He's got legitimate power. If he can harness that, and legitimate. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to give him $400 million, Kyle Tucker. All I know is that he does not want to go to a team that has an existing Japanese star. At no point did he say, like, you can't bring me and Okamoto here at the same time. Because they would be both making their debuts together. And, they're from Japan, they're countrymen at the same time, so they would have a rapport, right? And that would be, I think, a good thing. At no point has he said that. So, yeah, 3 year. It is real, Danny. 3 years, $75 million back to the Padres, Mike King. Yep. Yeah, well, I think so too, Tim. I think Murakami's more of a due diligence thing. So, Okamoto's legit interest. So is mine. Those guys don't seem to be due diligence guys. But let me make sure I hit all my points here that I wanted to share with you. I think so. Hmm. Yep. Yep. I think we're good. I both would be awesome. No, but if like not at the expense of my like for some reason if you can't get Amaya but you can get Okamoto, fine. But if you can get both, yeah. But if I had to choose between Amaya and Okamoto, I would choose Amaya, right? 'Cause you just get bring in Austin Hayes and then platoon him with somebody, Spencer Jones or whatever else, right? So it's all good, right? So we'll know more. I mean, the posting window closes for Imai the 2nd, Okamoto the 4th of January. So like less than 3 weeks, pretty much like a little over 2.5 weeks. He should get a shot in 26. Jones, he should get a legitimate shot. Yeah, I think the big baseball news tonight is Mike King going back to the Padres. Good for him. $25 million a year is good for him. Exactly. That's a good way to look at it too. The more whining I hear about the Yankees not doing anything, the more I kind of feel the same way, John. That's a good way of thinking about it. Okamoto, if I had to guess, 5 years, 75 million, something like that. He's a little old. I think he's 29. He's a little older than Imai. Maybe 4 to 5 years, similar to say a Suzuki from the Cubs or one of those guys like Jung Hoo Lee from the Giants, something like that. That isn't true. That isn't true, Javi. He's not wasting his career. He chose to be here. And what can they do to help get him a ring? What guarantees him a ring? Cade Winquist. He'll be. I think he might be a weapon in the bullpen. You might be close. 7 years, 175 on MI. That might be close. Jasper McGill. Was that Trevor McGill from the Brewers? Do they need a second baseman? Who's their second baseman in Milwaukee? I'd be curious. Trevor McGill. I think he's got 2 years left on his contract too, right? On his deal. So I think it does mean we go all in on Amai. I think we've been all in on Amai since they've been in on Amai. Just they have to wait out the posting window. They know they're not going to come out of this week or coming, and they're not going to come into this week. So they're coming guns blazing, man. Bryce Turang. Okay, well he's not as good as Jazz Chisholm, so at least I don't think he is. I have to look up his stats, but I don't recall Bryce Turang. Six-year with an option, maybe. It could also be a 6-year deal with an opt-out after 3 years. Could be. Or an opt-out after 4 years. Something like that. I don't know how much they're waiting on Bellinger. They're not waiting on Bellinger to sign MI. That's total baloney. They're waiting on MI to sign MI. And Bellinger's not stopping anything. They're just waiting on Bellinger for left field. He's not stopping them getting a right-handed bat. Just what right-handed bats are they going to bring in right now? They've made offers to players. They haven't said who, but Maybe one of those offers come to fruition. Brian Cashman said they made offers to 3 or 4 players. Yo, Kim, what do you know? No doubt, Eric, man. No doubt about it, man. No doubt about it. Not that I haven't shared. If I hear news, Tiffany, believe me, you know I'll share it. You are the first folks that I share the news with. I think there's a very high chance they trade Dominguez. If they sign Imai, then I can see them trading Dominguez for some high-end relief pitching. Yep. Tucker's got a couple offers in hand, but none to the degree that he wants. Yankees were one of the offers. Yeah. Don't know the details of the offer, the length, the dollars. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter anyway. Obviously, if he wanted to take the offer, he would have taken it. So it doesn't really matter at this point. It sounds like Bellinger's waiting on Tucker and Tucker's waiting on Bellinger. Right? Bellinger's offer, his market seems bigger than Tucker. I'm not surprised because of his versatility. So what? It's almost like one of those guys are waiting for the other guy to blink. Yeah. It could be. Hayden, it could be. Tucker, Bellinger, Bichette, and Alcamont could be very well. Could very well. They've already offered Bellinger a 5-year deal. That I know. They're holding firm at 5 years. Boris is pushing for 7 and 8. 7 or 8. Tucker does not have a large pool, so he doesn't. You're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, that's not really a big. Juan Biassigen. The key right now, the Yankees have to revamp the international. I said this earlier. The scouting director, the whole player development international, they've got to revamp the whole thing. Why? They have not hit on an international player in over a decade. Not one have they hit on. Not one. And they spent tens of millions of dollars. They have not hit on a single player. So they've got to change. They've got to make changes. The personnel that drafts these kids or scouts them, the people that develop them, they've got to change the whole infrastructure, in my opinion. But again, that's just my opinion. I don't work for the Yankees. So Anthony Dominguez is a worthwhile guy to look into as well. Well, I know they're taking calls on Miller, no matter what. So, because he can extract a pretty darn good return. Yeah, a Japanese player would be awesome. We can reopen our connections with Japan. Yeah, maybe he will now. Maybe Omar Minaya will do that. So, but yeah, exactly. The Yankees, they drafted like 7 shortstops. I don't really care if a 16-year-old shortstop who we're probably not going to see if he makes double A to triple A, you're not going to see him for like 5 years or 6 years anyway. I don't care if he goes to the Mets. I don't really care. One of our minority owners is Japanese. Swemi Minami. Yeah, they are. They're in the final stages of replacing Danny Roland, Jonathan. They are. With who, I don't know. But they're in the final stages of replacing him. I would not be surprised if the Jays moved on from Bichette either. I would not be surprised at all. Swemi Minami is the minority owner. Yep. I'm not sure. It depends on how good of a package you give the Padres. Like if I give you Escara because you need a catcher, Dominguez, and the starting pitcher like Hill or Warren, you could take your pick of one of our pitching prospects not named Elmer Rodriguez. You can have one, but we're not taking any one of these big monster contracts back. I'll give you a better package. Swimming Minami could be talking to him. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. He's been one of the guys that ran the kind of the international scouting for South America and Central America for a bunch of years. They're moving on from Danny Rowland. They've got to revamp that whole department. Like I said, they have not hit on a single international player in like over a decade. Not one. And they spent tens of millions of dollars. Right? They had some of the most hyped Roderick Arias, Jason Dominguez, all these guys. Everson Pereira and Jason Dominguez, I think, are only two that made it to the majors. And neither one of them is a star player. All the money that they spent on these guys. But that's going to be part of my negotiating thing, Ken, too. If I would rather give you better prospects or deeper pool prospects, or instead of taking on a nasty contract. I'll take on a reliever contract for you, but not one of these players. Right? They're haggling over who's going to run the franchise, and then the acquisition side. Yep. Yeah, they got rid of the international. He was the director of international scouting. They fired him like last week. I would not complain if they got rid of Mike Fisher. Yuki Matsui, I would take Yuki Matsui. I would also take a couple other relievers too. Jeremiah Estrada. A couple of them. Give me any one of those guys with Mason Miller. And believe it, if I'm giving you 3 potential starters right out the gate to help with your resale, I doubt you're going to hang the phone up on me. That's a pretty good darn starting point. The Yankees are very good logical trade partners in this particular venture when it comes to Mason Miller. Take Cronenworth before Bogarts. Yeah. Before Bogarts, yeah. I mean, he comes to a third of the price. Mm-hmm. Yeah, these teams, man, on the West Coast, these Padres and Dodgers, man. The Seedlers are related to the O'Malley who used to get there. Are they really? Tim? These freaking connections over there in LA and San Diego. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. But that's what I got, gang. I'm going to go get some rest. Got to get up in the morning and train. All right? Even Yankees front office, yeah. It's a tenured front office. They're all dialed in the same way. They're loyal to each other. The same consistent messaging, the same philosophy. So very rarely will the Yankees make a change within that infrastructure. Yep. Moore's in the Rooney. Yeah. Yeah. The Mara's in the Rooney. Yeah. Wellington Mara for the Giants. Yep. And his granddaughter, Rooney Mara, from the Girl in the Dragon tattoo. Her grandfather owns the Giants. Yeah, John Mara, that's right. Wellington John. But go have a great night, everybody. Appreciate you all coming on. Hit the like button on the way out. Let's try to get over 100 likes. Peace and love to all of you. I'm so grateful for all of you, and thanks for listening, and thanks for talking and getting stuff off your chest. I appreciate all the super chats I got too. You guys are the best. Fishman does run the analytics, and he should not. We gotta have some better people in analytics too. We really, really do. Peace and love, gang. Love yous. See you tomorrow.